Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we're anything but straight. My name is Space.
And I'm Sparrow.
And I'm Ruby.
And we welcome you to our show, which is about what today?
Today, we are going to be talking about some different sub-communities that the furry fandom has. Oh, man, this is really cool because there's so many to choose from. Why don't you go ahead and define sub-communities for everybody?
Who are you asking?
Any one of you.
I am Googling it right now.
Oh, my God.
Okay,
you can come up with it off the top of your head. I believe in you.
A sub-community is a distinct group or division within a larger community.
Space.
What?
Source, Merriam-Webster.
It's the AI overview. Who knows where it's coming from?
Oh, my God.
No, honestly.
Hey, Google.
When I was trying to do the thing where you're defining something with the words, with sub-community as the two words, the definition wrote itself.
Yeah, that's kind of how hyphens work.
Yeah, I know.
That's like the point of them.
According to Merriam-Webster, okay, if you want to use like official, it's a distinct grouping within a community.
Yeah, exactly. So the furry community is one big community, and then we have the smaller communities inside that community.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a Russian doll, a Russian nesting doll.
I like to call them subcultures. That sounds cooler.
Yeah, subcultures is nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's discuss why these groups form. Who wants to take it away?
Ruby, what you think?
Without Googling it.
You get to cheat, but if I go to do it.
Okay.
You know what? But no, why do these groups form? It's in the furry community. We all love anthropomorphic animals, but the subcultures and subcommunities form when it's why. Do you love the anime side of it? Do you love the costuming side of it, the performing side of it? And then it just keeps getting broken down in more and more and more just because we find our own little groups within the group.
Yeah, and it's like the big idea is anthropomorphic animals, but there's so many different ways you could take that. Some people might be fans of the anthropomorphic animals in, animes or cartoons, and they're like, I specifically like the animals in these shows, or like Pokemon. Okay, but some people might be like, oh, I only like the OC side of it, or I only like the costuming side of it. I don't even pay attention to TV shows or to video games. Okay, so that it's just naturally dividing itself among smaller and smaller pieces because it's such a broad definition. Like furry is just such a broad thing. Everybody enjoys different parts of it. It's very different than being a fan of an anime because there's only so much you could do with being a fan of an anime or a fan of a video game. But with the furry community, there's so many options. Dividing itself smaller is only natural.
I think like a good visual for the listener is grab a piece of paper and then write the word furry fandom, draw a circle around that, and then create a cloud, like a brainstorm, and just list off things that you like in the fandom. And that's kind of like what we're creating here it's like a subculture.
That's called a mind map, Space.
Yay! Thank you.
But then also we have such a massive community that brings in their own experiences and talents to where then also you get your furries that love performing, your comedian furries, all those different ones. So it happens. It's almost like, let's see what I'm trying to word. It's almost like a high school. We're all in the same building and we're just going to start parsing out our own little, cafeteria tables.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except instead of it being really toxic, we all enjoy something that's similar.
Yeah.
And as crazy as it is, the fandom probably couldn't exist without the subcultures because the subcultures create the fandom. It kind of works back and forth.
You know what? I can think of it kind of like a table in my brain. Like the top of the table is the furry fandom, but the legs that hold it up are those subcommunities.
Exactly. Yes, I can see that.
I do want to give a quick disclaimer for this episode. This isn't an adult episode by any means. However, I do want to make sure our listeners keep in mind that there are sub-communities in the fandom that are adult spaces. So keep that in mind. If you go exploring different sub-communities of the fandom, you might run into some not safe for work spaces. Just make sure you only engage with those if you're comfortable and of legal age.
And then also, this isn't by any means a comprehensive list. It's just the ones that we could think of off the top of our heads. The amount of subcultures is probably near countless at this point.
Oh my God, absolutely. If I
were to brain map it, it would require like an endless roll of construction paper. Or I'd have to like remove all the paintings off of like my wall and then use like dry erase and just like
you would
create it on the wall.
That
would be so cool though.
You would need so many thumbtacks and red string.
I'm telling you, I want, whenever we move into a new home, I want one of my walls to be like a chalk wall so I can draw on it.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
You would look like a psychopath, though.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
All these words that we know connect together, but if somebody just walks into your house, they're just like, so how does Pokemon connect into like, oh God, what's one? How does Pokemon connect into pet play? Like, I don't understand.
And then I'm like, here, let me show you my room. I have it all written down.
Open the closet and someone like walks out and says, Pika Pika.
I've got like red strings that go here and here and here and here.
Animal conservation and Digimon? Wait.
How?
Hello?
Remember, always back up your data.
Good Lord. So the fandom, I mean, regardless of the similar interests, there are two different platforms that you could engage with when it comes to fandom stuff. And that's on the internet, which is a large portion of it. I would say that's the majority portion. And then you have your real life subcultures, right? So think things you could do at furry conventions or at fur meets or with your own personal groups of furry friends. Online is where you're going to find a lot of this stuff, but there's real life subcultures as well. And of course, they can dip into each other as well.
Tippy.
Ruby, what do you think? How do platforms shape our identities? Like how we communicate with each other online?
This is actually perfect one for me because I can bring up like things I've done in the past. I am, believe it or not, an introvert and extremely shy. Anyone who listens to our episodes would find that unbelievable. But when I entered into the furry fandom, it was through all of the online platforms because I didn't have a word for anything I was doing. And it's like, oh, this fits. Ooh, this fits. And then I just kept learning and meeting people. And it was really comforting to just exist as myself without having like any real life interactions to deal with.
Yeah.
Even to skip ahead a little bit to like other subcultures, I met most of the people I met for the furry fandom was through an old site that I don't even think exists anymore called Wearlist, which was Therians.
Interesting.
Oh, I think I remember that website too.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go see if it still exists.
I know a lot of people in the furry fandom are also queer and neurodivergent, and I feel like having an online platform is a really great way to get used to socializing without having to put yourself in that spooky, scary in-person situation. Like if you're trans and you feel like you don't quote unquote pass, going into an in-person conversation could be a lot harder. Or if you have autism and you have a hard time going into loud spaces, having that online option through these platforms is such a great way just to introduce yourself into the types of people you want to interact with when you do find yourself in those in-person places. So it doesn't exist anymore?
What's the website?
Not that I can find. It was wearlist.com.
Do you want to spell that for me?
WERELIST.
Not wear less. That'll probably send you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Come on. I found a hit.
There's a .net, but I don't know if it's the same thing. It crashed in 2007 due to insufficient bandwidth resources.
Found it. I have my sources.
Are you on a Wayback Machine?
I am.
Oh, no. It's now wearlist.net.
Oh, okay. Man, this thing looks old. This thing looks like it was 2006? Shit.
It's still active.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But yeah, this is where I cut my teeth as a furry, as being a Therian. So it's actually kind of cool seeing this is so fucking like, oh my God.
I feel like one major platform.
This is nostalgia, people.
It is.
Mine was like Wolf Quest and Wolf Home.
Yeah.
Wow. Never
like
heard
I
of
met
those.
so many awesome people through here, and some of them I missed them. I think one of them, there were some things that went wrong with one person, but I met so many people, including currently one of my closest friends and also one of my exes who was the same person. But yeah, I'm sorry. I went speechless because I'm going to move off that window.
Well, now you know it's still around.
Yes.
I feel
that
like
actually is heartwarming because I miss
feel
it.
like one major platform is like the gateway to furries is FA. And from FA, you can kind of break off into other platforms such as like Telegram, Discord, VR Chat, which VR Chat in itself is a whole nother sub community.
Space, we all know what the original Millennium gateway drug to furry was. It was called Neopets.
Yes, we
I was gonna say
same brain. We
MySpace.
thoroughly.
We all know it was Neopets because we all saw our favorite Neopet and went, I want to be that.
I never did Neopets. I was just not.
No,
my
you're
thing.
too old.
No, he's not. I'm older than Space by
What?
1 week.
Yeah,
I'm older
by 1 week. Boosh.
Shut up.
Wow.
Tamagotchis were a
Unbelievable.
thing.
Yeah,
so
I'm
I guess you could
38.
say,
I'm old.
I guess you could say I found the fandom through Tamagotchi play.
That,
We'll say it like that.
yeah, don't please.
Yeah, that sounds really bad, actually.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So with every online I'm sorry. With every online platform, you also have in-person platforms too. And a lot of the times I feel like people, I guess, what is the term? They get their foot in the door through the internet. And then once they're poking around and find their communities on the internet, they get the guts to go out into these in-person events like conventions or fur meets or whatever. I know
Game
back when I was a young furry and I didn't have any like in-person furry friends yet, we had a website that was also like a forum. Forums don't really exist anymore.
Yeah, forums are a big thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was for Georgia furries specifically, and that's how I found our in-person furry meetups. So those were some of the first ever in-person subgroups that I got introduced to, and we did a lot of like, we had Lanimals, which was the fursuiting charity events, so we would go to like children's hospitals in fursuit, or we would do like charity runs. So those were really cool how one could lead into another.
Facebook was a huge catalyst for me
Oh,
when it came to like meeting people. Like the fandom in Utah has like one called U2F2. It's still really active. People still do like many different types of meetups and stuff, but not everyone uses Facebook. So they
a lot of elder millennials still use Facebook.
Would you call me an elder?
Oh, are you a millennial?
Yeah, I guess so.
You're an elder millennial, yes. Your sense of humor fits that space.
Okay, so I do not actively use Facebook. I have them, but I don't really use them.
Yeah.
I'm a Blue Sky.
I'm still trying to get on Blue Sky. I mean, I get the concept of it, but it's still nowhere near what Twitter is.
What Twitter was.
Yeah, Twitter's mostly bots now. I go on there just to make sure I don't have any like commissioners talking to me, and then I leave.
No, I deleted my Twitter last year when Blue Sky went completely public. And it's easier, I think easier for me just because the magic community moved over there all at once. So my world just shifted right over to Blue Sky.
If I didn't have the fursuit business to uphold, then I would totally delete my Twitter.
Yeah.
And I have
just remember to back
like
up
an
everything.
After Dark life on Twitter, and I'm just not ready to really give that up yet. So I kind of just stick with it. Yeah.
Having a locked Twitter is nice because then you can have just your friends on there. I mean, I log into my business Twitter every day, and I have at least 8 to 12 bot DMs I have to delete every morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on.
At least you get messaged. You just imagine someone like logs on with 12 different accounts and sends themselves their messages so they actually feel like they're getting interaction.
Oh, that's so sad.
Problem is I can see that it happens.
Other subcultures that exist are more or less regional subcultures. So you have like North America versus Europe versus Asia. Those are probably the biggest three because the cultures between each one of them are so different, especially with like fursuit styles and the types of activities that are done. Like I find there's a lot more like photography and videography done in Europe than there is necessarily in the United States. United States is
some
more
of the
like
cultural norms are crazy different too.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, US is more TikTok based and Instagram based with their videos, whereas Europe is more YouTube and some of the other
like Vimeo. Yeah, more long form.
Yeah, more high quality, well thought out type videos. And then you have Asia that's just more like technologically advanced and they have all the cool stuff with their fursuits. And then I just want to go to one of their conventions because they look so much fun.
And even like fursuiting norms, I think in Europe, they take performance more seriously. Like there's a lot more full suiters and people don't take their heads off as often, like in public spaces or I think in more Asian countries, they take the characters style. Like, not only the fursuit style, but like I don't even think I see a lot of Asian furries posting selfies of themselves. It's like, this is my character and this is what the account is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very rare.
There's no human life incorporated into it as often as I've seen on the like 5 or 6. I think 2 of them are Vietnamese and the other, I think they're Korean.
And
They're
the crazy... Oh, go ahead.
They don't talk about their like personal life at all, or it's like it's a character account. Like the dedication to being the character is extreme.
And you can see it from stages how socially acceptable being a furry is. United States is kind of feeling. Europe is a lot better, but Asia, it works for them because that is their culture, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's socially acceptable for them, which makes me really jealous because I kind of wish that influence could be available in the United States where you don't have to worry as much about the judgment.
Yeah,
so,
not everything.
Yeah. So let's talk about the positives and the pitfalls of sub-communities. Because in everything, there is a yin and yang to life, and you can't live with one. You can't live with the other. No. What is it? You can't
live with one without the other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of really good pros are just the idea that it helps you build a community. Like we said, if the furry fandom is the top of the table and the sub-communities are the legs, overall, we're holding up the furry fandom with these sub-communities. Even if you have a really niche interest, like there's a video game called Sam & Max. Very niche, older point and click like computer game. There is a subculture of furries online that are all talking about Sam & Max. Like you're going to find that niche and you're going to have a little space for it, even if it's small, and it can help you make some lifelong friends.
Yeah. I mean, even kind of us here, I mean, the podcast furries, we exist as our own little community and we're trying to build our community. I mean, we have our own little niche of people that are fans of this podcast, and 189 of them are currently in a Telegram chat.
And then out of that group spawned...
And yes, that's the accurate number of current.
Spawned a VR chat group by itself, and then spawned its own VR group within VR chat. So that in itself is a subculture of our own podcast community that we have.
The subculture,
which is crazy.
Of the subculture.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's like it's subculture. You have your gaming furries. Then the branch into that is your video game furries, tabletop furries, your card game furries, and those branch.
And then like
never
games,
ending.
And you have your Magic the Gathering furries, your Pokemon furries, or Yu-Gi-Oh furries, and it just constantly is branching out further and further and further.
The mind map goes hard.
Yeah, it does.
What are some pitfalls?
Elitism is a big one for me. Elitism, I commonly reference as popufurs, mostly because they have that status. Not all of them are bad, but I don't really like the term popufur to begin with.
It's a pretty dated term.
Yeah.
Then you have the people that I guess this would define as cliques, would be like, oh, there's only my way of being a furry, which is my community or my sub-community. Your way is just weird. We don't want you here.
Yeah, you see that a lot with certain sub-communities for sure. It's my way or the highway, but there's one way to skin a cat, and there's more than one way to wear one.
And damn.
Anthrocon.
With cliques too, like I find that there's a crack in between how people say you're supposed to wear a fursuit versus how you want to wear a fursuit. And there's people that are just dead set on the rules of this is what you have to do. You can't take your head off. You're not considered an actual fursuiter unless you have a full suit. Don't show your skin, kind of a thing. And I feel like that kind of it's unnecessary. We don't need that.
It's the full suit versus poodle argument.
Yeah. I also want to bring up, though, with these pitfalls, I feel like a lot of the pitfalls of sub-communities are exaggerated online specifically. And then when you step into these sub-communities in person,
they're
those
different.
Issues are not as big of a deal as people on the internet have made it seem. Like with fursuiting, for example, a bunch of people online might be arguing about, oh, you shouldn't take your head off in common spaces at fur cons, but then you go to a fur con and nobody cares. It's like the people on the internet who aren't going to the events are the ones who are like complaining the most. And same thing with clicks. Some people might be like, oh, this person didn't message me back. They're so clicky. But in reality, they probably just have like 30 or 40 people messaging them a week and your message got buried because they're quote unquote popular. So there's always folks who will say something is a big problem when it's like, it could still be a problem, but it's not a huge deal, right?
Yeah.
So keep those in mind too.
And I almost hate to, because I think our third one here is exclusion. I almost hate to mention it because we're due for another influx of this argument, but it's, at what age should you not be included in the fandom?
Yeah.
The 30 or the 30 and under, or the 30 and over. Like, I should not have been a furry like 8 years out now.
Yeah, or the opposite argument where like minors aren't allowed in furry spaces, which, it's like, oh, God.
Speaking of weird, like, exclusions, I can't remember which furry convention announced it, but they're only going to allow full suitors in a parade.
Oh, that's Anthrocon.
That's Anthrocon.
That's what we were just jabbing at. And that's actually not a true statement. They're allowing partials. They just don't want you to show skin. So if you're wearing a partial, they're asking that you have like, sleeves or something to cover your human skin.
What's wrong with showing your skin, though? I don't see the issue with that.
I think right now it is because of the sheer size of the parade. You've got to find the quickest and easiest way to trim it down.
Yeah, but then here's the thing. Now you're telling furries, you're sending a message saying you're not considered an actual fursuiter until you have a full suit. Or you have covered areas.
Oh, I don't agree with that. I'm just trying to rationalize like why you would do something so stupid.
This is off topic, but here's what I think they should have done. I think if it was purely a size issue, which I don't think it is, I think publicity is a huge part of Anthrocon's like Jib as well, because they're super concerned with what Pittsburgh thinks of them. If they were just concerned about the sheer size of it, they should have just put out a lottery system. Like, oh, you want to be a part of the parade? Put in for a lottery ticket. If you get approved, then it sends a pass to your phone and you just have to show that ticket like you do to get into the dealer's den during
break it up.
PLFC or whatever. Or break it up and have two events.
Yeah, so you have one that's full suitors and then you have the other that is just partials and all that other stuff. You could have easily done that, and that would have probably generated maybe more attention.
Yeah, maybe so.
Because currently to watch last year's parade was like almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
I know because I watched the whole thing.
I understand why they had to trim it down, but that wasn't the way to go about it. It should have just been a lottery system.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully they'll realize it. They'll try it 1 year. It'll completely backfire and they'll try something else later.
And these are just typical things that you'll find in subcultures in general. You'll always find exclusions. You'll always find elitism and cliques. It just depends on how you want to view it and how you want to navigate it.
And the people you interact with. Like if you find that you're interacting with people who are cliquey or who are elitists, then hey, find different people because those people suck.
Yeah. I don't think I would ever put myself in the category of elitism, or I don't even consider I've said it so many times before. I would never consider myself as a poppy fur either. I've had people say it, but I'm just like,
oh no,
I don't really fit that status profile. No, thank you.
Oh no, my near consistent imposter syndrome would never allow that for me. So,
and I simply am not.
Yeah, I am simply not. I like to think that I am the same as everyone else.
Yep,
same level.
I put my fursuit on the same as everybody else. I get my butler to help me hold my leg up, and
one boob at a time.
Yep.
Wow.
No, that's putting on Fiona's fursuit.
Oh my God.
No. Booby horse.
It would be so funny, though, if the person in that got out of their fursuit and they truly had the biggest gazungas you could ever see. Like,
well, I believe they are actually trans, so you never know.
I love that fursuit. And there are so many other fursuiters out there that are just like Fiona. And I think Kira and I kind of like fangasm over them because they're so fun.
You remember the horse at BLFC? No, wait, you weren't with me when that happened.
No, it was you were probably with Felix.
I was with Felix. It was after the fashion show. Oh. It's a red velvet colored pony fursuit with angel wings. And I thought she was so pretty, so I stood up and I asked for a picture. I was like, "Can I get a picture with you?" And she said, "Sure." And then she took out a whip and and used it to drag me closer to her for the picture. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. I just wanted a picture.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was going to happen, but more?
Like, it kind of startled me because I just was not expecting.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Oh my God. So why don't we start going over our sub-communities for dummies guide, some of the most common sub-communities that at least we can think of.
So that would be species-based sub-communities. And there's just a bunch of them. So the first one would be canine. So those will be like your wolves, your dogs, your foxes. I was going to say foxes, but that's not.
No.
You're foxen.
You're
Mini much
foxeye.
foxen.
Your foxties. I don't know.
It's just foxes, baby.
So, interestingly enough, these types of species-based subcultures can also spin off into their own versions of After Dark. We won't discuss that, though. If you want to look up that, you can. Foxes and wolves will be probably the biggest ones on those.
And dragons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's dragons.
Except for our pure angel babies, the Dutch angel dragons,
True.
of which I am one. Hi. I almost regret having just my only fursuit being a Dutchie because there's a limit to what I can do.
True.
I need to get a wolf fursuit soon.
With the canines, you typically find a lot of popularity and culture symbols within that particular group of people. And if I think at the top of my head, a lot of them are either dog or wolves or foxes that are more popular in the fandom as opposed to other species.
I would say second close are big cats.
Yeah. I was taking a drink. I was,
I'm trying to think of even when it's what's the first fursuiter I think of? In all honesty, it's a dog. It's Kiani. Which is a Doberman fursuiter.
I think
I also love Dobermans.
So when I think of fursuit, I think of
popular.
I think a whole bunch of them come up at the same time. So I don't really see a singular fursuiter per se. It just depends on what we're talking about.
When I think of a default fursuit, the first thing that comes to my brain is like a neon green and white husky.
Yeah, I can see that. And in that culture, like a cultural symbol that could be used as dog bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. That's actually one of the things that delayed me from getting rid of Twitter was because he was one of my friends on Twitter. And it's I could go through his history and it's I can't now.
Yeah.
What about felines?
I feel like felines are their own sub-community as well because they're a bit more rare. I mean, especially like house cats. I feel like you don't see as many house cats. A lot of big cats are fairly popular.
Yeah.
But, I feel like it's so natural for us as furries to gravitate towards people that share a species with us, especially if you're more uncommon species. Because you're like, oh, you get so excited. Like, oh, there's another one of me. There's another parrot. There's another bear. Like,
yay, bears.
I freak out anytime I see an African wild dog fursuiter. Completely lose my mind because that's one of my backups. And even though, yes, it's in canine, it's super uncommon.
Probably because they're hard to make.
Well, it's the same with calico cats.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I feel
scalies are also their own kind of. I feel like dragons and birds tend to hang out. You notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
And the resulting species is a Dutch angel dragon. No, when someone asked me to describe what a Dutchie is, I was like, if a dragon and a bird had a baby and it was raised by a horse.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was going to say real quick with felines, when it comes to fursuits, you're probably looking at more tight or form-fitting fursuits with felines, I find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or more fits the body kind of a thing.
Or you get buff daddy muscle suits, especially for your lions and tigers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, you know what? With lions specifically, I feel like most of the lion fursuiters I see are very classic looking fursuits, like 2010
I think of Kijani is
style.
what I think of.
The baseball cat?
Lion.
No, that's a white lion.
No, Kijani lion, the fursuiter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. See, I only heard the Johnny, and there is a character in Magic the Gathering called a Johnny, and he's a giant buff lion character. So
yeah.
It's funny. Scalians are their own beast in themselves. I feel like a lot of avians and a lot of avians, I guess, are kind of scalies, featheries, alternative fur creatures.
Yeah, alternatives.
I know the bird furs tend to gravitate together. I think that is, again, because it's so rare. And then mythical and hybrid animals, too, like
Dragons,
Yeah.
Zergles, Dutch Angel Dragons.
And
then you've
honestly,
got
another
your
one you could add.
Protogens.
Oh, protogens are a big one. Another one you could add are like fandom made species, which is things like protogens and well, I guess
Duchies,
that stems from mythical.
Circle. Or I think circles
Circles.
are fandom made.
Sergals are and serval. No, not servals. Cruxes.
Serval, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Crux suits are so cool looking.
But like, I just thought about it when we said Dutch Angel Dragons. We've been naming off all the previous ones. Just sitting here thinking about it, I can name most of the Dutchies off at least from like 10 years ago. Yeah, off the top of my head because of the community.
There's a couple of Dutchies. There's these 2 Dutchies here in Utah. They have the cutest fursuits and they complement each other color-wise, which is super. If I see them at a woo, I will take a picture and send it to you.
But I mean, you can go with just even my own graphics, then torch, telephone, radio. And now I'm blanking on having to name it, but I could at one point in time name 2 or 3 dozen just Dutch Angel Dragon fursuits off the top of my head.
And to kind of further branch off into mythical and hybrid species, in that particular realm itself, then you have like closed species, and to even get into that is like a super rare thing. And so that itself is its own little like subculture as well. So you can have those types of things going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I almost want to bring up like, they're not really species based, but they're theme based. So your Sodaroos.
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
Picari.
But yeah, just the ones that it's like, hey, we like the color schemes of bottles of soda and we love roos. Let's do it.
Toon furs.
Your plushy furs.
Yeah.
I think the coolest hybrid I ever saw was someone who was a wolf spider. Literally a wolf and a spider at the same time.
Oh, yeah, I know that fursuiter.
Super cute.
I still love the snail.
The brown one or the pink one?
The pink one.
They live in Georgia.
She is so fucking cute.
I see them at anime cons too. Super cute. So, of course, we have species-based sub-communities, which some people get into, some people don't. But I feel like sub-communities we end up sliding into whether we want to or not, or like things like life-based communities or identity-based groups, because those are things you usually can't change about yourself, or if you can, not easily.
Yeah.
Why don't you start us off with Therians, Ruby?
Yeah, your Therians and your other kins in the fandom, which is, I find it so hard to say the definition for this. So let me actually...
You're going to Google it?
I'm doing it.
Oh, Google.
You're not allowed to Google. Only I am.
I'm doing it, so I say it right.
Now we'll hear a special performance of Space casually interrupting Ruby with a little song about Therians.
Therians
Because
are
to me,
beautiful.
it's a spiritual. It's basically
I
a
like
spiritual.
Therians. I like them all the time.
And that's it, folks. On with the show.
It's a super deep connection with the animal. Individual who identifies as a non-human animal to some degree. Like, for personal, I understand I have a human brain and body, but my personality, its very base is that of a wolf. It's me. It always has been. And that will most likely never change. Even the funniest parts of having, like, at one point in time having a chocolate allergy, which was hysterical.
That's great. Oh my God.
I've got to see I know as soon as I have my next doctor's appointment, I've got to talk about like my tail hurting because literally my tailbone has been hurting every time I sit down. So it's like, I've got to go ask my doctor about my tail.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, and otherkin too, which is technically a different definition than Therian because it doesn't have to be animal, right?
No, it can be fae. It's where I think you get more into your like mythical side.
Okay.
So it's inhuman. So you're fae, I think dragons fall into otherkins, things like that.
Yeah. You also have folks like trans and queer furries in general, which it feels kind of redundant because so many furries are trans and queer, but a lot of connections between sexual and gender identity and personas. And of course, you tend to gravitate towards people who understand you on that personal level where a lot of people outside of the fandom might not. So if you're a genderqueer person or if you're gay or whatever, you're going to find yourself in communities who understand your struggle too as a trans person or as a queer person.
Yeah. The number of, if you go through my Blue Sky like follows and followers, the number of trans furries that I have on there is insane.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Gender schmear. The new spread.
Not
You can spread on your bagel.
Gender schmear?
Yeah.
That's the gender neutral version of a pap schmear.
Yeah, actually, oh my God. That works. I like that.
That's funny.
Oh my God.
It's so good. Wow.
See, this is why I wish that here's the thing, just a little side tangent. I wish I was going to next week's Magic the Gathering Magic Con Vegas, because there is one of the Omega Marts and Meow Wolves there.
Oh yeah, Meow Wolf.
And you can actually buy a can of, it's a drink that's labeled gender fluid. I need it. I need a whole case of it just so I can have it sitting behind me.
That's funny.
Ruby, if you ever went down to Vegas for something like that, I would hands down drive all the way down to Vegas just to meet you, because it's only like 6 hours from us.
Mm-hmm. Sadly, I tried to get into Vegas's Magic Con creator badge. I keep trying every year, at least trying to get into it. So we'll see. But there is a Magic Con in September in Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
There's a chance. We'll see.
Interesting.
Space, why don't you talk about our neurodivergent babies?
Why? Because I'm neurodivergent?
Well, you're disabled. I mean, I am too, but you know.
I'm going to go with my wife's definition because she's a special education teacher. We are all pretty much different flavors of neurodivergent at this point.
Yeah.
We're quote unquote
teachers see that.
Yeah.
So neurodivergent and disabled furs do find safe spaces online. It allows us to interact in a way that we couldn't necessarily do in person. So it's really interesting to kind of witness, because you see an introverted person in person go completely extrovert online. And you get to see like a totally different personality, which is really interesting and unique. But at the same time, you meet these people who are super outgoing online, and when you meet them in person, it's a completely opposite. So it's a really interesting culture of people that you'll meet. I think there's a lot of disabled furries out there. Off the top of my head, like some more well-known ones, like Citrine Husky. He's blind, legally blind. What?
I love Citrine Husky. I've met him, but you have to realize that I met him at the Anthro Crossroads East in North Carolina. I had been interacting with him, Kage, and everybody with the comedians. He was with the comedians. So when I saw him playing guitar later on, I was like, I have a really odd question. Do you read sheet music or play by ear?
And
he looked at me. He looked in my direction.
Shut up.
And no. He looked at me and went, "You are an asshole and I love you." Because I had been interacting with him all weekend as like a comedian, and I had been on stage for their stand-up. I had interacted with the panels that him and Kage were in. So we had at least enough of a base where I was like, I'm going to make this joke because I have to. My filter will not allow me to put it away.
Oh my God.
So his response, that's why when you said Citrine, I'm just like, oh God, yes, him.
We also have Zusho is deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Fursuit Maker Weasels on Easels.
Mm-hmm.
Or Easels on Weasels?
Yeah, it's Easels on Weasels.
Yeah. And there's a variety of them out there. One thing that's, interesting is that we may be labeled as disabled, but we don't see ourselves as disabled.
Yeah.
No.
At all. So the fandom does give us a chance to grow and be someone that we couldn't elsewise be in person.
Honestly, I would say with the last three we've talked about, Therians, trans and queer people, neurodivergent, disabled, with the subcultures and subcommunities we find, it's a lot of solidarity. Like whenever I see artwork of a fursona and they have like an insulin pump or a continuous blood monitor on them, I'm like, oh my God, hell yeah. Like I feel seen and I see you. Or like intersex furries, like during Pride Month, there's a lot of art of people with their different flags and seeing like intersex flags. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't see that very often. I see you and you see me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of solidarity, and it makes those communities a lot more, honestly, healing in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to... What? It just went
how your segue was like, okay, Sparrow, shut up. Let's move on.
Okay, next.
Like Ariana Grande once said in her song, okay, next. Let's go over geographic communities.
This is one that you can change, but it's kind of hard too.
Mm-hmm.
Because money.
Because money. So geographic is communities can change depending on where you live. We kind of talked about this a little bit with the fursuiters, but furry communities in Europe will be very different than America, be very different in Asia, etc.
But even at the same time, that limitation I only see as a in person.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like in the magic community, I have a friend, Tamir, who is in Israel. And he's one of my like closest friends, even though he's literally on the other side of the fucking world and also dealing with the area that he's in. But it's kind of cool that we're not limited by, at least in terms of geographic, we're not limited by that because we can talk and meet everybody everywhere at any time.
Through the good old internet.
Yep. Everywhere, anyone and everywhere all at once.
Oh my God. Okay.
You're welcome.
So those are life-based groups, right? It's things that are a little bit harder to change, but you also have interest-based subcommunities. These are things that you may get into and then get out of, or things that you're hardcore interested in, like this is your special interest. You're a big thing. So your physical location doesn't matter as much. It's all about what you know about what you like to do, what you like to see.
Mm-hmm. I know nothing about this first one, so I'm just going to step back. Actually, I know nothing until we get to gaming.
I mean, so your most common subculture in interest base is going to be tech furs. Those will be like your coders, your VR chat users, your fursuit tech modifiers, programmers.
The furries that keep this world running.
Yeah, the furries that make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Essentially.
We all know that if furries vanished off this earth tomorrow, the world technology would crash immediately.
It would. It would.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even with tech furs, it's interesting looking at this list you just read because there's even sub-communities within this sub-community. Like the VR chat users are going to be very different than the fursuit techies. Like so crazy. But it's all tech.
Yeah, no, it's all tech. It's for sure all tech.
Yeah.
We also
I've been playing with VR chat, which has been crazy because it's like a whole different world of the fandom. It's like you've got the fandom and then you've got like a very thin sub-layer of the fandom, which is VR furries. And it is just like a whole, it's like you're jumping into the fandom all over again.
Dude, I feel like I was just talking about this with my roommate yesterday. The fandom has, I don't want to say lost, but I'm going to say it. The fandom has lost a lot of key figures it used to have to VR chat. Like they used to have online presence. They used to go to cons. They used to fursuit around. And then you're like, oh, what happened to that guy? Oh, they're big into VR chat now. So they don't post on Twitter. Or they don't, like, they just got sucked into VR and disappeared.
Yeah, so I've noticed that with some of our friends that we have where they used to be super active and then all of a sudden they just kind of vanished. And so we see them at like game nights and stuff, but I hardly ever hear from them anymore. I mean, that's because they're mostly in VR at this point.
It's like sad, but like good for you that you found a community that you like, but it's also sad that like the in-person community has lost another soldier to VR chat.
I think what would be healthy, and this is just kind of like a side thing, with VR, you got to do it in supplemental doses. So, you know, I do it maybe once or twice a week, and I only do it for like an hour, and that's it.
I'm going to say something controversial. You ready?
No.
If you are somebody that spends so much time in VR chat that you have phantom sense, you need to get off and set yourself a limit because that is not healthy.
No. So just kind of, I don't know. I say explore it, but give yourself a time limit.
Yeah. A little like baby timer, like what you give your kids on their phone.
Ding. And then like the computer shuts down. And it's like, okay, go outside and breathe some air.
Go outside, touch grass.
Yes.
Yep.
Dude, we have car furries also.
I was going to say.
We just had a really good interview with Zero on that. I met Zero at Furry Week in Atlanta.
How was it?
It was, the car meet was really cool, but it got shut down after like 2.5 hours, which sucks.
Why?
Well, it sucks because the parking deck it was hosted in agreed to let it happen. And then 2.5 hours in, they just kind of like changed their mind and said, hey, you guys got to leave.
Wow.
And it sucks because we were behaving. Like nobody was revving too loud. And we only took maybe the first 3 floors. We weren't blocking traffic. Like it was a really well-behaved car meet, all things considered. But I think the owners of the parking deck were just getting intimidated by the sheer amount of people that were showing up.
I can see that.
But it was really cool. So car furries and gearheads are a really big subculture of the furry community.
I know how to start a car and keep a really shitty car running. That's about the extent of my ability with cars.
You don't have to know how to fix a car to be a car head, though.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know.
Same.
I have a Honda Odyssey, and I know it fucks hard. It's all I need.
Hell yeah, brother.
And yes, I have the decal on it that says the Honda Odyssey fucks hard.
Wait, your car is the
Wow.
one that has the little pride stickers on it, right? The Angel
Yes.
Dragon ones? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm a van girl, and I could not do it.
Love.
I now have a cat that has decided she wants to lay in front of me and almost lay on my keyboard.
Ooh, here we go. This next one's for you, Ruby.
Uh-huh.
Gaming and anime crossovers.
Yep. And can we just all agree that anime is just furry?
It's not that far off.
Well,
It's
no,
close.
someone actually did it. Is that basically the forms for anime characters are based off of cats? Like the proportions are perfect.
Oh, yeah, I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, I posted it. It's like, yeah, all anime is furry. We're claiming it ours now.
They're all cats.
Fuck you. Yep. But yeah, you're gamers. You have everything from, again, console gaming, PC gamer, hi friends, your Magic
High
player.
friend? Like people
No,
that are high?
I'm a PC gamer.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
I'm a PC gamer.
I have consoles, but I like my PC.
It's just so much better that way. It's the way games are meant to be played.
Yes. We're going to get hate for that line.
I know.
But your Magic the Gathering players, your Pokemon players, there's so many things that can draw you in as both a furry. I would almost dare say most furries are gamers.
I thought you were going to say most furries are gay, and I would say I agree with that.
Oh, I think that. I think most furries are some flavor of rainbow. But no, I think most furries fall somewhere in the gaming, even if it's just playing Pokemon Go at conventions or just around, to your hardcore, like, sit down and marathon game. But just bringing up, because we've done episodes on gaming, even during our Fangasms episode with emails, so many people are just like, I think one person recommended a game to me, and I still need to go sit down and play that.
I've been playing Path of Titans religiously.
Yeah, not to mention, what's the game that was actually made by a furry?
Are you talking about the sex one or the regular one?
Diet or regular?
Yeah.
No, it's the one that...
Actually, both.
Yeah, both, technically. Was the one we talked about during the esports episode.
God, you're asking me to remember something that was so long ago.
I have it on my
A year
Steam wish
ago.
list. Hold on. But there are a lot of games that are made for furries. A lot of furry characters in games. So let's see here.
That's why it always cracks me up when quote unquote gamers will like shit on
Dish on
furries for being
Yeah.
who they are. And it's like, dude, you do realize that video games are crawling with not only anthropomorphic characters, but furry bait characters.
And most of your major esports players are furries.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for the game. I know I have it saved.
Oh my God. A little laugh for you. Around the last days of school when you don't have students anymore and all the teachers are like cleaning out their rooms, I was moving my classroom, and as I was moving furniture upstairs, I see this like kind of short, skinny teacher walking around with a coach. Like all the coaches have a specific jersey that they get. And I was like, what do you coach? You don't look like you've touched a sporting good ever in your life. And then when he turned around, he was like, esports on the front. And I was like, I get it now.
Yep. But the game is Lethal Company.
Yeah.
Oh, Lethal Company.
One of the biggest freaking games of all time was made by a furry.
I didn't know that was a game made by a furry.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, they're one of ours.
Again, I heard a gay made by a furry.
Dyslexia?
Probably. Anyways.
Okay. Being gay and being furry are not contagious. It just so happens that we're really charismatic.
God.
So a furry cannot make a gay. Doesn't work that way.
I mean, one can try.
When two furries love each other very much.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Then yeah, your anime crossovers. I almost want to say instead of anime crossovers, your media crossovers. So your Bluey fans, your My Little Pony fans, your Pokemon, your Digimons.
My Little Pony's not much of a thing anymore.
Shut
But
up.
still, the community is still there.
Why don't you shut your mouth, Sugar Cube?
Oh my God. We are so cooked, chat.
I'm a huge My Little Pony fan. Bite me.
Of course you would be. You're a trans woman.
Can you guess which one's my favorite?
You specifically? Oh.
Is it the farmer one?
No, I just Sugar
Applejack?
Cube is an easy.
I mean,
Applejack's an easy one to quote.
Is it Rainbow Dash? I swear to God.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is Dashy.
Is Rainbow Dash trans? Has that been official?
Actually, there's no officials on any of them, but I have seen people really successfully make either Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, or Rarity transgender in one direction or the other.
Huh. Interesting.
And also, I love Discord, so
yeah,
the Draconequus Discord.
I don't know how to successfully transition to the next one. No pun intended there.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, we don't have to because you just made a badum joke. Music furries and dancers. I know these are technically kind of separate, but I think they have to go hand in hand because one of them makes the music, the other one dances to the music. You gotta put them together.
Yeah.
I often wonder.
You're performance furries. So you can even put your stand-uppers there too.
Your DJs, all that good stuff.
I have wondered, the fursuit dancers that do their performances, are they the ones that are also creating their music, or do they commission someone to do the music?
Probably some of one, some of the other.
Because it's you ever watch those cheerleading movies, Bring It On? It's there's no way those cheerleaders edited and made that particular song for their performance. That's just way over their heads. So I've always just wondered. But yeah, that's huge. It's a huge thing. And you'll also see lots of YouTube channels that are dedicated to dancing and TikTok as well. So those are definitely communities out there.
I feel like a ton of furries get introduced to the fandom by watching fursuit dancers on YouTube specifically.
Yeah. And then let's not forget my favorite furry musician, Foxamore.
Foxamore is very good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And then this next one is kind of right up your alley.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to jump in. Fursuit makers and furry artists too. I feel like these also kind of go hand in hand. Other own sub-communities that also have sub-communities. You have your really stylized fursuit makers. You have your realism fursuit makers, but they're all enjoying fursuit making. And same with furry artists, your digital furry artists, your merch makers, your blender model makers.
Yeah, your traditional artists. Yeah.
So
because I fall under the furry artist, which is fun.
Oh,
but yeah.
And what stems off of furry artists and suit makers are the collectors too. It's very similar to music furries and dancers. The collectors and the furry artists and suit makers, different sides of the same coin, because without one, you wouldn't have the other. And I feel like what makes a collector different than just a furry who buys art, the collector furs are always showing off their stuff. God, who's that dragon artist you really like, Space? It's Twilight Saint?
Oh, yeah.
Twilight Saint is a big collector of fursuits, right? And all of their posts are just pictures of their fursuits with an inspirational quote. That is their thing. So that is a subculture of collecting. It might be fursuits if you have that kind of money, or it might be a bunch of different art of the same character that you have, and your whole account is just sharing art that you've commissioned of your character, or even physical collectors collecting prints or stickers, people who put stickers all over their cars or whatever. But collectors are a huge stem from our artists.
I have to say, with Twilight Saint, if you're ever looking for the most detailed artwork possible, Twilight Saint is the first person you should think of. Now, the thing is their commission prices are really high, but I won't say this very much about most makers or artists that have high prices. With hers, it's worth it to shell out for the amount that she charges because her stuff is just freaking amazing.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't even probably have made the jump between Therian to furry without artists like Golden Wolf and Dark Natasha, who I have always been a fan of and will continue to be a fan of. I love their work. So,
and then the last bit is what we kind of fall under is the content creators of the fandom. So you got your filmographers, your YouTubers, your TikTokers, your podcasters, you've got your live streamers, you've got your VR YouTube channel things, lots of stuff.
And being a content creator is an absolute pain in the ass, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And there's so many different flavors too. What podcasting is going to be very different than what YouTubing is, and etc. Or some people have long form versus short form, but all of it's still art too. That's an argument I hear a lot of people online try to make. I don't like being called a content creator. I'm creating art. I think it does depend on you.
Well, you're creating art, but in the end, it's content.
Yeah.
It's literally art is a subdivision of content. It's what it is.
That's true. That's true.
So if you're making like a video project and you're just doing it for fun, you may think it's just a project, but in the end, it's content that's available for everyone else to watch. Therefore, you're a content creator because you created it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Oh my God, my dog just came in here and he's like all over me. Hi, buddy. Hello.
I have not. Excuse me. I would like an attention now, please. It has been over 5 minutes.
Who let
I
you
would like
in
some
here?
more.
Who let you in here, Stinky?
Our last like interest-based subcommunity, we're very going to lightly touch on this because again, it's one of those after dark type things, and if you want to look it up, you can. And I'm sure we've covered a lot of it as well in previous episodes.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
people have a lot of different interests in life. And sometimes those interests are things you should only explore once you turn 18, right? So things like pup play or being a fat fur or being into paws or whatever. Some of these things have safe for work sides to them, and that's cool. But it's also important to acknowledge that there is a kink side to some interest-based communities and to tread carefully. Like if that kind of stuff makes you uncomfortable, then don't interact with it. Or if you're a minor, definitely don't interact with it because that's illegal. But they are sub-communities and they're valid sub-communities. But if you explore them, just, take caution.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting take. I just thought of this. When it comes to fat furs, if you're under age 18, it's considered an eating disorder. But when you're over the age of 18, it's considered a kink.
Space.
I've just
that's not how that works.
I know.
No.
But it could be it could be like one angle. There's many angles to different things.
All right, we ready to close this episode out, y'all?
Yes.
I think so.
I think so.
Oh, no. I can't wait to have a new character voice because, really quick tangent, I have the new Five Nights at Freddy's game streaming in the other room. And apparently Roxanne Wolf was originally a cowgirl.
Oh,
I cannot wait to hear her
talk. That's why her name is Roxanne.
Yeah, which is also what we named our cat. But Roxanne Wolf, the guitarist Wolf, started as a cowgirl in the ancient story. I cannot wait for them to give her a voice actor so I can mimic it.
Space, I heard you singing Moulin Rouge.
No, that wasn't Moulin Rouge.
It's from the movie Moulin Rouge. I know it's a song that exists, but
it's a song by the Police.
Yes, I know, but it's also in Moulin Rouge.
I haven't seen Moulin Rouge.
You're gay. You have to see Moulin Rouge.
No, I have seen it. I just haven't seen it since 2000.
Time for you to rewatch it.
I suppose I have time this weekend.
Oh my God. So despite sub-communities existing and, the Latin root word of sub is to divide, it really brings the fandom together in many different ways. And it's a great way to celebrate our diversity. I think the Furry Fandom is one of the most diverse fandoms that you could ever run into, whether it's in person or online. And the subcultures that exist really celebrate that.
Diversify your dividends.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. When you said that, it's like the thing
I feel like Bob from
I'm
Bob's Burgers today. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
But
it's the end of the day.
And I think, it gives diversity to the fandom, but also you can be, it may sound weird, it's something I just kind of want to state, you can be part of multiple sub-communities. So you also don't have to limit yourself to one. So if you're a gaming fur, you aren't stuck there.
Yeah.
And also just respect other sub-communities, especially when you get into the NSFW ones. Even if it's not your cup of tea, respect that it's someone's cup of tea.
Yeah. If it's all safe and consensual, whether it's not safe for work or safe for work, just don't yuck other people's yum. You might not be into cars, but somebody else is.
I'm sorry. What was that? Don't yak on someone else's yum?
Don't yuck on someone else's yum.
Don't yuck someone's yum.
That? Never heard that.
You never heard of don't yuck a yum?
I feel like I hear more phrases from you than I would ever learn in my entire life.
From the South, babe.
Yep. Oh, bless your heart.
I need the blessings.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You need to come down here and see the real Southern charm.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Get her done.
Wow.
I don't know how I can be north of you but still act more southern.
I don't know whether to feel special or honored. I don't know.
You should.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
When you're here, you're family.
Shut up.
Sorry,
that's Italy.
Olive Garden.
That's
That's
Italy.
Olive Garden. Sorry.
Isn't that like...
That's Olive Garden.
Wait. I want to
Yes.
go on one more side tangent before we close out, okay? There is you could call it a restaurant. It's barely. It was called, I think it was called like Mama's Kitchen. It was just a one restaurant, and you could tell it used to be someone's house that they gutted out and turned into a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And this was like the epitome of Southern culture, melting pot culture, because the business was owned by Hispanic people. The food is all Southern trash, like pop open a can and put it in the microwave food.
Oh my
And
God.
all of the chefs in the kitchen were Chinese. And everybody who went to eat there were old white people. So it's a true melting pot of a restaurant in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. Like, and
Are you talking about Cracker Barrel?
The only thing that would make it better is if it had a health code rating of under a B, and then it would be perfect.
I think it was a solid B.
And I would eat there every goddamn day.
Nothing was salted because old people ate there and they were sensitive about that. You had to add your own salt to everything, but they had the kielbasa and the sausage, and they had the cornbread, and they had fried catfish on Fridays. Like, oh my God.
I'm glad I've eaten, or you'd be making me hungry.
You go to the deli at like a grocery store and they don't season anything because everyone's so particular about their flavors. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Nope. I love cooking, and my cooking is a combination of Mexican and Italian. I use a lot of seasonings.
I don't like making. I mean, I don't like cooking Mexican. I'd rather buy it. I don't want to make it.
Oh, I would cook.
I'm a lazy bitch.
I would cook for everybody if I had half a chance, because I love cooking.
On my way.
Hey, you should have tried the Mexican chicken and rice I made the other night. It was the best thing I've ever made.
On my way.
I'll see you in 7 hours. 6 hours. Yeah, 6 hours.
It's not too bad.
No, it's not. Just got to survive the drive through South Carolina and promise me you'll stop at Buc-ee's.
God, what is it with everyone's obsession with Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's is okay.
I went there and got their brisket barbecue sandwich. Was the best thing ever from a gas station.
It's so funny because every time we see tourists here in Utah, they always have Buc-ee's, and it's like, what the hell?
I have a Buc-ee's beaver plushie in the back of my van.
I don't like how Buc-ee's smells. There, I said it. You walk in and it smells like brisket and white woman perfume. I'm like, look, you can't smell poopery right next to the brisket sandwiches. This is not a good smell.
But in their like collectors area, like their knickknack area, they have an entire section of kitchen utensils that have multiple uses. Go listen to one of my previous episodes.
I'm scared.
Oh no.
Yes. Plus a lot of plushies. I love plushies.
Side tangents aside.
Yeah. Anyway, what is your goal?
Pull it back in.
What's your goal
right
ending this episode?
Our podcast, right? our subculture within our own community is side tangenting.
Yes.
We have goals.
Well, I mean, what is the goal for our listeners today?
So I recommend reaching out to someone from a different furry niche this week and learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's after dark and you're not of age, don't go dogging. Don't go knocking.
Don't go down.
Don't go knocking on that dog.
Yeah. If the van's a rocking, don't go a knocking.
My God.
You know.
And also, if you are a part of a sub community or a subculture that we didn't talk about and you want to talk about it, come yap at us, dude. Like, we have our email, talktothemuzzle@gmail.com. We also have our Telegram chat. If you're super into something and we didn't touch on it, tell us what it is, because I always love learning about new things that people are into, as long as it's safe for work.
Yes.
As long as it's safe, yeah. And we can read it on our Fangasms.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. God, there were 17 emails we had to get through on our last one. Oh my God,
those, yeah.
So many.
But it's such a good way to get through the emails, too, is to record them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took 2 recordings.
It did. It didn't work the first time. We had to do it a second time.
Oh, no.
I got dragged into that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Some recordings require certain hosts to make it work.
And somehow they brought me in to make sure they didn't tangent.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder my choices on hosts that I bring on.
Hey, but we finished it in time.
We did.
And I've listened to that episode. The number of times I was like, all right, reel it in. I said it.
But anyways, Is there anything else?
Nope.
No, I think that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, as per usual, we always thank you guys for listening to our episode. If you want to find us and get more immediate responses, you can find us on Telegram in our group, and then you can also message us directly as well. I have yet to have anyone really message me directly outside of the group, so just saying that. Not like I'm asking you to do it, but you can also follow us on Twitter @FromTheMuzzle and
Twitter.
Blue Sky as well. Yeah. And then, of course, anywhere you can find podcasts or listen to them, that's where we're found.
Yep.
Pretty good about that. But we welcome you.
We welcome you to goodbye.
We welcome you to our episode.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
Yes, thanks for listening. Have a good night.
Bye.
Yep. Good night. Bye.